The long list of publications and opinions about problems and solutions in various aspects of modern higher and post-secondary education is well known to all educators. The goal of the current presentation is in the demonstration of the need to unite all these efforts in changing and improving the adequacy of the modern education to the national change management efforts. We will emphasize the unsustainability of the current institutional educational model because it is costly, the scope is low, the flexibility is insufficient, and the need for active revolutionary changes in pedagogical and technological implementations of a whole educational culture, switching from the teaching culture to what we call learning culture. In order to be a solution to the educational crisis, it should be much broader vertically and horizontally than existing particular innovations in various aspects of teaching and learning. The speed of changes in modern organizations, whole society, and the whole world is continuing to grow, which is a well-known fact. It results in the need in faster adaptation of all organizational stakeholders, as well as social, political, and economic dynamics. Learning is not a way of getting a better job for individuals anymore, but already a mechanism of national and organizational adaptation to the dynamics of modern life. It is becoming a vital aspect of national organizational and personal responsibilities. The major factors showing the need of a new approach to education are rapidly changing scope and necessary flexibility of learning organizations. The need in mass learning and relearning almost in all areas of human engagement is greatly increasing the number of learners in educational and training processes as compared to the past when we somehow were able to handle it. These numbers are becoming even greater because of the continuing and ubiquitous nature of modern learning when people return for new learning and relearning. The need is flexibility, higher flexibility than we had before, is a result of the need to support a broader range of student types, their diverse learning needs and abilities. We don't have the same type of student anymore is also well known. The support of continuous and ubiquitous learning in all places, at all times, in all modes and all careers. Support learning in all situations from fundamental courses to just-in-time learning. Be more flexible in lowering cost of learning by using innovative methods, credits for experience, smaller learning intervals, different types of credentials, and so on. We need also flexibility in using various technological means and regimes of their use, not just typical classroom and sessions lectures. Although there are bottom-up moves toward more innovative pedagogical and technological approaches toward higher and post-secondary education, they showed significant resistance of the current teaching culture, where the focus is in control and improvement of teaching. After many years of the fight with such attitude, the conclusion can be made about the need of switching from evolutionary changes in education to revolutionary, fast, and large-scale move. The adaptation to greatly increasing need in high scope of learners and their learning flexibility requires such cultural changes as broad and top-down focus on learners' responsibility, efforts and learning progress, instead of mainly focusing on teaching in students knowledge and skill acquisitions. It includes assessment and feedback measures, so-called closing the loop, of learners' performance, their learning efforts, methods and quality of learning instead of grading teachers and controlling teaching efforts. It is about making learning efforts and their support the key factor, possibly outweighing the importance of the quality of so-called teaching. Greater scope and flexibility of the implementation of innovative pedagogies like active learning, student-centered learning, inquiry-based learning, dual learning modalities, and so on, that are focusing on the learning side of the educational process. And we need them with full organizational support of such innovations, and even leadership on all levels of education management up to the state and federal mechanisms. And because only online learning technologies are capable to decrease cost of learning, increase its scope and flexibility, and support the dynamic evolution of learning culture, there is a need in the same level of support of the use of online technologies and aligned with them pedagogies and use models supporting implementation of learning culture with its increased flexibility. The current efforts and implementation of online education models show the trend and desire in its implementation. At the same time, a number of experts see that the resistance of the current teaching culture is leading to the gradual showing of such dynamic and even reaching its unfortunate end. The key role of online educational models is in its foundational importance of the national adaptation to the challenging dynamics of the new world. Classroom settings are incapable of solving the need in necessary scope, flexibility, and affordability. The important features of online learning, without which it is impossible to satisfy the needs in these characteristics, implement the learning culture, include, among others, such key aspects as online access to information and pedagogical support from all locations and devices. Increased scope of learning accessibilities far beyond the classroom side. Fast and flexible online communications with peers, instructors, and other roles involved in the learning process. Use of various platforms, data, formats, apps, learning environments accessible from online sources, choice of synchronous or asynchronous, individual or group interactions, use of advanced technologies. It is not only about being online. There are many technologies supporting and enhancing the possibility of learning, like virtual reality, avatar, gamification, ad hoc video conferencing, adaptive learning technologies, intelligent tutoring systems, pedagogical agents, and a broad AI support. Simultaneous parallel access to a number of people, sources, and online assistance. Several tasks and processes possibly combined with job tasks at hand, even just-in-time learning. Control over scenario repetition, time of execution, interruptions, and start-stop mechanisms like in training videos, where students can rewind and listen, view again and again the instructions, allowing to tune to the speed and specifics of perception and comprehension. Possibility of rich peer networking and collaboration and collective reshaping of the meaning of the material and new skills formation. In conclusion, it is important to note the need in intertwined development of the two key aspects: changing focus to learning versus teaching on all levels, and changing attitude and efforts to a much bigger role of the use of online mode of learning organization.